All right, everyone. So we're going to go over the trades from today. Overall, today was a little bit slower, and that doesn't surprise me because yesterday, if you recall from my recap, I noticed a number of stocks that popped up and made a big move, but retraced the entire move. We saw it on BPTH, we saw it on MMPR, we saw it on a couple of the penny stocks, and so I was a little cautious coming into this morning. Now, when I pulled up the scans, it was pretty early. I actually looked at the scans first at like 4:30 and then again at 5:30. I just happened to be up early. And there wasn't much that looked great, except that we had a 4 a.m. pop, a 4 a.m. spike, and then that one kind of faded. And that was Staf, STAF. So that one right now is up 175% on the day. In fact, the second leading gapper is up 113%. And then we've got four others that are up over 50%. So we've got some good volatility today. And I am green above the daily goal, but not a home run day. You know what, though? That's all right. These base hits, just like today, in between big green days, are helping keep August on track to be my second best month of the year, which is really unusual for that to be in August, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. So sitting here with $6,372.84 of profit today, green on 4 out of 4 stocks. I did have some losses. I actually today, my very first trade, I was a red trade. It was on GDC, and I went red, then I went green, then I went back to red, and then back to green. So GDC was a little bit of a tough one for me. Let's start by looking at Staf, which is our leading gapper. So when I sat down this morning, I was looking at Staf at around, what was it? What time was this? This was 7 a.m. And my problem with Staf was that it kind of squeezed. So first of all, it squeezed right at 4 in the morning. So we got like a 4 a.m. to sort of 4:15 spike. Then it's pulling back, right? And then it starts to come back up right here at 7. But it was right before 7 a.m. This was 7 a.m., right? This line. So unfortunately, because it was squeezing up before 7, I was sort of like, I don't know. It's kind of lighter on volume. It's almost looks a little thickly traded. I'm not sure if this one's going to work. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it goes, but then at 7 a.m. it pulls back. So I said, nope, I'm not touching that. So I didn't have a trade that I was able to take going into 7 a.m. Right? That's what would have been nice, but I didn't have a trade going into 7 a.m. All right, so now it's 7 a.m. and I'm looking at the scans and I see GDC popping up. Now, GDC is this Chinese small cap stock. It's, got a low float, but kind of a history of being choppy. You look at the daily chart, you'll see some higher volume red days back here, right? It's reverse splits, but then that was a day where it went totally crazy. So it went from like $3 to, what was this? This was crazy. It went all the way up to $45 a share, right? But then it's sold off since then. So, it's kind of got a history of making some moves. By the way, sorry about the noise. There's a sander running in the background. I'm just working on a project outside. I have someone helping me with it. So anyways, we get this little squeeze here yesterday, but there was no fresh catalyst. And I kind of felt like, can I really trust this thing? So all day yesterday, I'm watching and I was just like, I don't know. It's too choppy. I talked about it during the recap yesterday, but it would pop up and then sell off, and then pop up and then sell off, pop up and sell off. And then it pops up and then sells off. So look at the volume, high volume red candles, right? So it's like there was just something weird about it. Now it ends up squeezing in the afternoon, but then it pulls back. And then right here, coming up pre-market, starts to squeeze. So I jumped in, this was after hours, pre-market's right here. So I jumped in at $6 a share right here. First entry, $6, 4,000 shares. Got in as it broke over 6, stopped out at 5.96, 4-cent loss. So down $160, roughly. So I'm red on my first trade and I'm like, all right, well, hey, 4,000 shares is tolerable, right? That's why we start with smaller share size. So I don't want to get too aggressive before, before I kind of get myself in the driver's seat. So 5,000 share max position, 5,000 max until plus 1,000. Now, I am being a little bit more aggressive right now because the market's been pretty hot. So there have been some days where I've been taking 10,000 or even 15,000 shares pretty early on. But today I didn't see anything I was feeling good about. So 4,000 shares on that first trade, starting the day at 0, down $169. Next trade, I get back in. It pops back up and I'm like, okay, here we go. We're squeezing back up. So I added back 4,000 shares at 5.99. I sell it at 6.23, 6.28 as we squeeze up here towards 6.50. So that was right here. So got in, got out, and then got back in. So on that trade, I made 500 bucks. So actually, it's like 600. So now I went to green about $500. So I went minus 150 or whatever, and then I'm green 150. And then I got back in it because I thought it was looking good for another trade. So I was like, all right, I'm going to jump back in this thing. And I got back in at 640 for the breakthrough 650. That was right here. That was right here. And look at this false breakout. See that candle? It got me. That candle got me. So I stop out of that, and now I'm red minus $750. So now I've got a little bit of a swing, and I'm like, all right, this is clearly a difficult stock to trade. It's just, I don't know what the issue is, but it's not easy. So I decided, I stopped out, and then I said, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't keep stopping out on these pullbacks. Maybe I should sort of switch gears and add back. So it sort of based out and held that level for a second, right here around 615. And I decided to add 5,000 shares at 625. Then it bounces here up to 682, and I'm up 50 cents a share. So with that, I got myself into the green, boom, and up about whatever it was, $1,500. So flipped from red to green. So it was red twice, got myself back to green. And then I was like, all right, now I think I could start to size up a little bit more. So then I started taking 10,000 share positions on it, and I got a couple nice trades as we squeezed up towards a high of 760. But you know, in total, I'm up 3,600 bucks on it. That's not bad, but it's also not that impressive. This was not super easy to trade. It kept popping up and selling off, and then popping up and selling off. So I finished trading GDC sort of after this candle here at like 7:30. And so then the next stock I trade was AIRI, Air Industries. This was kind of an interesting one because it had this initial pop, it drops down, then it pops back up, drops down, pops back up, moves all the way up to $9 a share. Right now, it's up 98%, which is a huge move. But what's interesting, I'll show you on the level 2, it's easy to borrow. Usually small cap stocks with a 2 million share float are not easy to borrow. So if they're easy to borrow, it means the broker has no problem giving you shares. And that I feel like is a little bit of a statement of what they think is sort of the risk of a short squeeze. They think it's low because they don't mind, we'll just you short it. Stocks that are hard to borrow, it's like the market makers are and the clearing firms are sort of registering that that's a higher risk stock. So Airy, it ends up making this move, and I took one trade on it. I made $389. It was really nothing that exciting. I jumped in it at 6:03 as it started to squeeze up. Let's see, that was, what time was that? 8:37. Yeah, it was right here. So I jumped in as it broke over 6, and I took profit at 6:14, which ended up being almost the high, and then it dipped back down. And then I was like, well, that was a small winner. That was not easy, so whatever. I did not end up going back to it because at the open, what I did not like about it were these topping tails on the 1 minute. You see these topping tails? I was just like, this is way too risky. So did it go higher? Yes, but I don't feel any FOMO on it because I couldn't manage my risk. I just didn't feel comfortable with it. So no trades on AIRI after that first one. And then my next trade was AMS. And this one's kind of ridiculous because AMS, this stock out of nowhere at 9 a.m., was it 9? It's 9:03. All of a sudden it pops up and it goes from like $3 to $3.80 to $4. It taps 660. And then it drops back down. This was unreal. I bought, and what I did was it popped up here, and then it dipped down, and I bought this dip at 5 right down here, and it pops back up to a high of 560, and I jumped out, and then it ends up going lower. So I only did a dip on this, and I was looking for a rip back maybe through the highs, but it sort of stalled out, and so it ended up being a small winner. Kind of just weird. And there wasn't a clear catalyst for that move. So I have no idea what that was about. I tried to jump on the momentum, and I made a little bit, $800, but it wasn't clean. And then my last trade of the day was on Staf. So before the trade on Staf, I was sitting up about $4,800, and I was like, you know what? Clearly, this is a day where the wins aren't coming super easily, but I am green. I got to be grateful for that. So no reason to overstay my welcome. Had a great day on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday were both double the daily goal. So if Thursday is going to be a little slow, hey, just be grateful it's a green day. So that was sort of my opinion, and I didn't want to overstay my welcome. But we got this halt up. We open, we dip down, we come back up to 4, and I decided to take a trade right here as we broke 4. We broke 4, and it squeezed up to a high of 461. And look at this candle. This is what we would call a jackknife. So this thing goes to 461, and then it flushes all the way back down. So look at that candle. That's unbelievable. So I got in at 4, and so let me jump up to this trade. So I bought at 4, and I sold at 4. So I sold at 416, 422, 425, 465. 365 and 386. So I sold basically profit, loss. But I still made $1,500 on it. So I was scaling out into the squeeze. First target was high a day, and we got that, but I was also pretty aggressive about paying myself. And that, I think, is really important. So something that I was just talking about with our students here, members at Warrior Trading, was building this positive feedback loop in your trading. And it begins with A quality setups and trading less. When you trade A quality setups and you trade less, your accuracy improves. When your accuracy improves, you just have fewer losers in total. And that generally means you're eliminating some of the big outlier losses that were the result of trading a low quality setup. So then your profit loss ratio improves. As your accuracy and profit loss ratio improve, your consistency improves. So now you've got more green days, fewer red days. And that turns into building self-confidence, which increases you to take bigger size. And then with higher accuracy, higher profit loss ratio, you're making more money. So it's like accuracy, profit loss ratio, and then there's sort of the second loop, which is I would say sort of the two additional ones to add would be trade frequency and share size. So now you start taking more trades with higher share size, and now you're building this positive feedback loop where you're trading more and more and more and more aggressively. And you could do that and get more and more and more and more aggressive until something happens. And what usually happens, at least in my case, is I'll sort of be trading more and more and more and more and more aggressively, and then I'll either have this loss because the market shifts and I start having a couple steps down, and I'm like, okay, I need to self-correct, slow down, and go back to fewer trades, less share size, A quality setups, and then kind of start that next ramp back up. So, and there's also something to be said for the fact that you can't scale infinitely share size, right? So, you go from 10,000 shares to 20,000 to 60,000 to 100,000, you're going to see diminishing returns because the result of slippage trying to get in and out of positions that big. The point of diminishing returns is high. There's a lot of room you can grow, but there is a certain point that you can get to where all of a sudden, you're just not. It doesn't make sense to keep sizing up. You need to just trade more frequently in order to make more money. You've capped on share size. So anyways, I want to encourage you guys, certainly in this market right now, to be practicing, trying to gain as much experience as you can so you can build your educated intuition. And even if you're not fully capitalizing on the opportunity, maybe you're trading in a simulator, you can at least be gaining experience. And then the next hot cycle, you'll be that much more prepared to capitalize on it. So yeah, today was a little colder. It was Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. So coming towards the end of the week, it's possible that, tomorrow's going to be a little bit colder as well. I'm not sure, but companies don't always put out great headlines at the end of the week. So it's kind of a wild card. Fridays in the summer, if there's nothing to trade, sometimes there'll be a stock like a AMS that all of a sudden spikes up and is up 100%, has no news, but it's the only thing up and everyone's trading it. And next thing you know, it's up 200, 300%, and it doesn't make sense. And shorts are getting squeezed and they're scratching their head, but it just keeps going higher. So that's always a possibility. I don't know if that'll happen, but it's a possibility. So as always, I will be here bright and early tomorrow morning, live streaming for all of our members. And those of you guys on YouTube who have not already checked out a 2-week trial, check it out. I did see someone say, Ross, I signed up for the trial, and all I see when I look on the website is, the library. I don't know how to actually get in. So what you want to do is you want to go over to this little picture icon right here and click on your dashboard. You click on your dashboard, and then from the dashboard, you can go ahead and enter the chat room. You can go into the classes and you can start going through the content. Now, because as part of our Warrior Pro preview, you have access to the first 6 chapters of day trading, the basics, and a couple chapters of strategies and scaling. We try to give you a good preview of what it's like to be a Warrior Pro member. Now, if you haven't checked out a demo, you can also check out an interactive demo right here. You can fill out your first name, your email address, and we'll let you play around in here and sort of test out what this software looks like, the software that I'm using every single day while I'm trading. So you check those things out, and I'll remind you guys as always, hey, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. So manage your risk, take it slow, practice a simulator before you put real money on the line. And I'll see you back here bright and early, live streaming tomorrow morning for Warrior Pro members.